Has there been a decline in pickup on the weekend?
A little bit, yes, sir. They have been. We started out about 1,800 kids a month, or 1,800 kids a week. I think we're down to 12 or 13, but it's been going on for 7 months, 8 months now. And a lot of them say what happened, we noticed too, and what are the complaints? Reason for cancellation? We don't have enough room for all frozen in our freezers. And that's the part of the stuff we're doing. When you take up so much room, somebody's picking up for 3 or 4 kids, you don't have that much room to put frozen foods in. So that's why we're going to shelf-stable home delivery, shelf-stable stuff. If they want to go to the hub and pick up something, they can call customer service and say, this week I don't want a home delivery, I want to go pick up where they can get the frozen meals. And they take them off the route, the home delivery route, put them on a pickup route, and they can go pick it up.
Any more questions?
Anything else?
No.
So this is just more information gathering for everybody. If any questions, like I said, feel free to let us know. I know we only had a few minutes, I don't want to take up too much of your time. Thank you all.
Thank you. Okay, consider and/or recommend actions with regards to increase in hourly rate for special counsel, Mr. Blanchard.
We received a request from our special counsel, Pam and Sills, requesting that we follow the suggested pay rates of the Attorney General, Jeff Landry. Received the attachments of the rates suggested by the Attorney General's office. They've been our special counsel since 2008, so for about 13 or 14 years, and have now increased on their rates. You'll note the date on the letter from Mr. Landry is dated 2016, so even these rates. I'm recommending that we follow the fee schedule recommended by the Attorney General.
But they're asking for the paralegal fee $75, and it's $6 in the state.
I mean, that's.
I would say that go with this. I mean, I don't know.
That's fine. You can, the board can approve to follow exactly what Mr. Landry has recommended.
The special counsel, I guess, is the counsel that is used for
Certification,
desegregation.
like,
I don't see it as progress, you know.
I'm the same way.
You know, you actually don't have to pay it according to the state. Just Landry do not determine from what you pay the individual. You know, he just makes some type of recommendation. But if he's paying his attorney that fee, then you have a lot of attorney work with him. So I don't believe his attorney would pay that.
So we're paying 100 and 150 right now, right?
between 100 and 150, depending on the year's experience.
I would like to see more production out of them before we give them a raise.
It's a board decision.
I'll
Any more questions?
make a motion that we keep on paying them and say what we're paying.
Second.
I have a motion. And second, Mr. Proceed. Let's vote.
Well, you don't actually have to vote. He's not taking action. Oh,
Kind of like Mr. Dawes here.
Was Mr. Blanchard here?
You brought up a good point. We need to possibly look into getting an attorney. How did you word that, Mr. Snyder? Somebody possibly that's won a DSA case from possibly like Washington DC, who has been successful in that case, to help us out. Because like Mr. Fortier just said, we'll give up the idea. It's a good idea. Because we've been bogged down way too long. And that's my opinion. I'm only one person. But
same thing.
Mr.
Get somebody.
Anybody else?
Many of these cases, one case before,
Mr. Dorian?
you have a totally different ball. So,
You
you
voted. Do y'all want to table it?
we voted.
Mr. Dorian, okay. The yeses have it. One opposed.
I just want to answer
This
that.
is yes to increase the.
To the dollar.
But what about when we look up there? So they
All right,
get
what are
paid,
we voting on?
they get paid, that
I'm
much.
confused. You said we weren't voting.
Okay, what's that?
For a local attorney, they get paid that much.
I'm not sure what rate of pay they're raised for.
I'm not gonna give them a raise. We voted.
My motion was
That's not what she said.
to keep the rate as is.
Okay.
My motion was to keep the rate as is.
That's what we voting on?
So we should have voted, we should have voted no. Now you we want this.
Yes.
Yes.
Well,
One of them,
You
one
know,
of them.
you can change, you can
I
change,
do.
you can change the vote.
Well, you voting on what you said, Mark?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
Stay the
what-
same.
Motion to what?
To keep the motion was to keep the pay the same as we're paying right now, no increase.
Okay.
So how much y'all paying?
$100 and $150, depending on the experience. And they wanted
Okay.
200, and then they wanted 75. They want 225 as the highest, and then the lowest with the experience was 125, and then they wanted their paralegal to be 75, whereas right here it says 60. But we're actually paying them 150 for 150, yeah.
Okay. Now we're gonna vote on the regular motion,
So it's.
Okay.
You know,
all right, so going to C then, consider annual reference actions to move forward to contract with Synergistic for energy savings.
Okay, we were approached by an organization, Synergistic. It's essentially, remember, about 18 years ago or so, Mr. Olin went to work for a company that worked toward educating employees on energy savings. And I think over the life of that, they saved somewhere in excess of $1 million in energy costs. This is essentially the same company. It's undergoing a name change, and they have a presentation that they'll do. Ms. Kim Dill is with Synergistic, so she's going to do a brief presentation. In your packet is the information she provided to me with potential savings. So, Ms. Kim, for you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I have a limited number of packets. I'm sorry, but I wanted to make sure that each of the board members received a packet. So we are Synergistic. We are a 35-year-old company that we are focused on energy conservation, savings for school districts, and healthy buildings. We have saved our partners in the last 35 years about $6 billion in energy savings, and we do that by reducing the consumption in the district while maintaining positivity of the staff and comfort for everyone. We also, so our average across the country is about 25% reduction in energy bills. So that's what we'll be focused on for this district as well. We also focus on Energy Star ratings for the school district. So we want each of your schools to be Energy Star schools. If you'll go to the next page, this is our main focus. So our main focus for the district is cost savings. By doing that, we're going to embed an energy specialist in the district. That person will become a part of the maintenance and operations team, and we will bring in experts as well. We also focus on healthy buildings. During this time of COVID, we want to make sure that ventilation is where it should be for your buildings. We also want to make sure things like moisture management in this part of the world. We have a specialist who focuses on moisture management and can work with your maintenance and operations team. And then sustainability is a part of that. And we offer programs for students. So we actually have a K-12 curriculum that you can embed in the schools that focuses on sustainability and conservation. You'll go to the next page. The way we do this is by, again, we take an energy specialist that is trained by our synergistic engineers, and it will become a part of the maintenance and operations team here in the district. The parish will now have access to all of our engineering expertise. We have, and I'll get to that in one of the next pages, but we have engineers who are experts in all areas, and all the maintenance and operation team has to do is request that expertise, and we will make sure they're here. And then we have a proprietary technology that helps drive all of these savings. So instead of the operations team and the energy specialists having to run around and figure out what's going on in the buildings, they're going to be able to look at a piece of software that says, hey, that unit's coming on in the middle of the night. There's been a spike in energy in the middle of the night. We've got to go figure out what's going on. So our energy specialist will actually work off hours. So when the maintenance operation team is at home resting, our guys are out in the field and they are doing audits of the building. The energy specialist will do at least 25 audits of the building every week. But we're going to do that by optimizing your systems while no one's in the building. We focus heavily on teacher comfort. We want to make sure students and teachers are able to focus and are very comfortable. And so we're going to do that in the off hours. On the next page is just a graphic of kind of what I've been referring to here. And that is the fact that it's a partnership. It's a partnership between the parish schools and the synergistic technical team and the energy specialist, all driven by software. And you can see that there is a list of all of the specialties that we have that the parish will have access to. And finally, on the last couple of pages, this here's where we get to the proposal. So we're proposing that we're going to save the district over the next 5 years about $865,000. This is a very conservative projection. We want to be very conservative so that we can overachieve what we project. We're going to do that by optimizing HVACs, comfortable, healthy buildings, but it's also, there's no financial risk with this proposal because we are going to guarantee our fee. And the fee that's associated with it is just a fee for, so we have a fee for the energy specialist, which is on the very last page. We have a fee for the energy specialist, and we have a fee for energy cap, and then we also have a fee for the program. That is a guaranteed fee. It says total investment cost, sorry. If you do not, let's say it's $125,000 in the first year. If you do not save $125,000, we will write you a check back. So there's zero risk for the district. So questions?
Why would we want to hire somebody from the outside when we had somebody doing it from the inside? That would be one question that I have. Because, and obviously it was a lot cheaper to do it that way. And the other thing is, this is just my opinion. Our principals, and I'm gonna put our principals on the spot right here. They should be going around monitoring that, you know, to some degree, but when you have an outside source like your company, and I remember this, and I wasn't even on the board, years ago, that company turned off basically all the electricity. I'm saying, I'm going overboard with it. They turned off all the electricity for the summer. Well, you had all these athletes going to work out, and there's no electricity in the gym and everything. And that's been a while back, because that was.
I was a principal at that time.
Yeah, so, and I say I'm putting the principal on the spot, but that's something that the principal, or if you see a light on at night, you know, it's pretty obvious that somebody's leaving the lights on and stuff like that. So that's pretty much all this company's gonna be doing, is monitoring when that electric bill kicks up and I'm like, yeah, for that amount of money.
So it's a lot more involved than just, and so we've worked with this district many years ago, even in the early 2000s. And so what we find is that district, once they stop the energy conservation program, they go back to up to previous rates that they were before. Because you guys are specialists in education, they're not specialists in energy conservation. And so we're able to turn off knobs and dials that, while no one's in the building. Yes, of course we want people to turn lights off. We're not going to turn off air conditioning while kids are in the gyms. That's not what we're about. We're about optimizing your systems while no one's in the building. And when I've met with the maintenance and operations team, they don't know what's going on in the middle of the night. We're actually able to pinpoint what's going on when people are not in the buildings. But we're also able to run your systems and understand, how can we optimize the systems? We know there are older systems in many buildings in this district. And so we're able to take what you currently have and make it work as.
So what would actually be your cost?
Yeah, so if you go to the last page.
Yes.
So where it says synergistic energy management program,
Right.
that's our cost. So what's going to happen in
86 the first year, 120 the second, 132, 145, 158. So a total of, you're looking for us to invest $642,000. I would have a question, what if we don't like it at the end of the first year?
there
I
is,
mean, we need to know from our attorney if there's a buyout. And listen, I appreciate you saying there is a buyout, but we've been told in the past that we were gonna pay 2% on something, and the next thing you know, we get to go pay $100,000.
So two things. So yes.
And I'm not knocking your company.
No, I
I see
know.
that.
You see, I've talked to districts all over the country, and I know exactly what you're talking about. So the first thing is, if you look at the top line, that's growth savings. So we don't want you to come out of pocket. We don't want this to be another line item. This is going to be paid for out of cost savings, right? So if, let's just say we're projecting that we save 865,000, we want to go over and above that. So we don't want to just save you that, in the first year, 125. I told them the other day, I'd love to save you 300,000 in the first year. But yes, there is and the contract is in the hands of the attorneys, and there is the ability for cause or convenience to get out of the contract. There is a cost associated with that. If you look at the first 2 to 3 years of the contract, we're gonna front load. We're sending in engineers and specialists. We're gonna audit every single one of your buildings and be in here very heavily in the first, year. So we are upside down cost for the first 2 years.
What motion associated wants for
There was the energy management systems, the systems that turn the lights off, like in the parking lots at night, turn the air conditioning units on and off. We had that at some schools.
I mean, one common problem, and I've called you about it. We have, I'm leaving, I go to work at.
Yeah, no one.
And I'm pulling out my driveway, and I look, not across the street, but at a school, and I see some football lights on.
Oh, gosh. That's energy hog.
And that's what you just turn it off, and you don't have to worry about that cost. I mean, it's common sense just to turn things off, but again, we get lackadaisical at times and certain things, and we don't lock the electrical box or whatever, and it's just responsibilities.
And we do want, we clearly would want to pay attention to something that big, because that is a huge issue. But HVAC costs are about 60% of your electricity bill, and so that's where we really want to micromanage. And it's the whole notion of healthier buildings. In this part of the world, moisture management, I talked to the team about it, moisture management is a big deal. And comfort concerns, and those are things that our engineers can help the parish, and we can work with you guys on that at no cost, except for the cost of the program.
I just wonder why apparently we had signed up with it, the first, how did we get away from the last time? Because all the charges just a little bit more, right?
Well, I wasn't on staff at the
Right.
time, so I don't remember the exact price of the cost. But
I can tell you a little bit. He was a part of our program. We did not offer renewals at the time. We were hopeful that we would do our 5 years with the district and you would be able to continue the program on your own. And we found that districts are just not. And so we finally, in the last 3 to 5 years, started renewing with districts.
when Olin did it, you'll remember, Olin was the maintenance foreman at the time. The board agreed to do this, and basically under the same terms. They come in, they manage your system, they go in, they conduct audits, they do things to help you save money. And the savings that you get from the reduction in energy usage pays the salary of that person, plus, in those days, over 4 or 5 years, the district saved, I'm told, about $1 million. So what Olin did in those days, I remember they bought him a truck with a little alarm on it, because in those days, you didn't have this key system. We had now he had a big box with all those keys, so you had to be able to lock the truck everywhere he went. And he'd go into the schools on weekends, he'd go during the day, he'd go early in the morning, late in the evening, middle of the night. He was checking different things, thermostats and whatnot, to make sure that people were following the guidelines he had put in place. And that went on for 3 or 4 or 5 years. We went through 2 or 3 different maintenance foremen. And when the program was finished, our foreman had resigned, so Olin came back in as maintenance foreman, and he continued to monitor the programs that they had at the time. And every now and then we get a little report on energy usage. Over time, that kind of went away. The software got older. It was no longer being monitored. And unless you have somebody going in and monitoring the schools, at all hours of the day, to make sure they're doing what they're supposed to do, then the program kind of falls off. When I was a principal in Olin, would come to my school, I'd have a little ticket on my door in the morning, a little report with what he had found that needed to be corrected. And I'd go around the school and address whatever teacher or counselor, whoever it was, and what he found and what was wrong. So that next month when he came, I wanted a clean report. So that's how the system worked in the past. What they're proposing this time is, now Olin was full-time in those days. What they're proposing this time is a part-time person that would come in and do those audits, 20 hours a month or something like that.
And it's all automated now, so anyone in the district who wants to see the work that's going on in the district, it all rolls up into our software. So every audit that's conducted in the district, there's record of it. Anything we report back to the facilities team, there's all record of it, so.
Sometimes do we have to like change our air conditions or something?
So we're not, that's not an expectation as a part of the program. If you are planning to do some retrofits, or if you're planning to do some upgrades in your HVAC systems, our engineers are happy to work with you to build a mathematical, replication of your building so that you can get the right fit for that building. So we're happy to help with that.
Mr. Pete, how do you feel about this? You work in maintenance.
I'm going over the service agreement, and there's a lot of nuts and bolts that which is really, this is not the venue to be going over all of these things, but there's a lot of, it's one of these things from my perspective, it's not one of these things, let's pass it to see what's in it. I prefer sitting down and seeing exactly what would be requested or required of the owner, required of the outside service technician. See, none of that is delineated or has been given, in this service agreement per se. It just says, to do this, this, and this, which is a broad stroke. However, what will this outside individual be required to do? How many hours will it take him to do it? Things such as that, and just, inside service, internal individual liaison, as he's put in here. This has not been discussed with my bosses, or, is that me? Am I the liaison? So there's a lot of unanswered questions that before, I don't want to pass it and find out what's in it afterwards. From my perspective, if I have intervention or will be called on to do anything, I'd like a little bit more information as to exactly what is entailed in a $600,000 price tag project on a 5-year basis. My opinion.
So a program liaison is someone is our main contact at the district. That we will be reporting data to, because we want to stay in close contact with not just administration, but with the board, and constantly get constant board reports and updates. And so I don't think that the superintendent is necessarily the right person for us to have the main contact on the energy program. It would be someone like Mr. Sard, yourself, for us to have as our main contact. That's what we call the liaison.
The program that we had previously, you said that y'all ran that program. Now, could you give me some type of data to where when we started the program approximately 15, 20 years ago, in our 5-year span, how much money we saved? But of course, I can remember, I can recall, we had a lot of things that were out of place, a lot of things that were outdated. But we did a lot of renovations. We did a total change of HVAC. We dropped our costs almost on our own. For you to come in right now, I don't believe we'd have as much to say. Now, in the future, I can see once the equipment get older, our lights are LED. We've done most of that ourselves, through 4 years or so. He made sure that we could, so I don't see a tremendous savings.
So we saved over $1 million in the first program.
Right, I think that's.
In this program, we're anticipating about 900,000. So you grow the square footage. You do still have some older buildings. We've actually run an analysis. We were given your data, and we ran an analysis based on districts that look like you.
Let me review the analysis. I like to look
I mean, we know based on 35 years of work that there is opportunity for savings. There's opportunity for savings, but I mean, is it well over $1 million? We're projecting a little bit more conservative numbers.
Okay, Steve?
Well, if we get into this program, we're gonna have to pay someone, so someone's gonna have to make some money. You know, a pay raise, you know, whoever's gonna be in charge in our system. You know, what would y'all recommend us paying that person?
It's all included as a part of the program cost. It's included in this cost.
Because I know when I got on the board, when I met with Olin a few times, he wasn't paid enough, and we had to give him a pay raise. You know, it puts a little money burden on us too. And he had to go through everything every day, you know, to make sure everything was right.
Yeah,
So-
so it was like,
So y'all recommended, you know, when he showed me, y'all recommended that we pay that person $54,000. That was a good while back.
So, and that was a full-time person, so we're considering this person to be a part-time person. So we're recommending right now 30 to 32,000 as a part-time person. And again, it's already included as a part of the cost. We're calculating that.
yeah, I got a couple of concerns. We did this the first time, I was a principal at the time, and whenever we needed to have something going at school, we would have to get in touch with somebody to make sure that the air conditioners or whatever was running. Well, sometimes that would go through, sometimes that wouldn't go through. We had trouble with that. Instead of having the principal be in charge of the controls. Because the principal knows what's going on. It should be able to control it. And the second thing is, we had a lot of new air conditioning systems put in. If they don't run right, they cause mold. So our people need to be aware of that, and we can't take a chance of having somebody shut things down and end up with mold and then have to go control that. That's gonna cost us more than having a program.
And so we have experts in moisture management, and and so we actually do training we work with a lot of districts, and we actually do additional training for their teams because we have such an expertise in that arena. And so we know what parts of the world we work in, and we would never let that happen to a building. But going back to the EMS systems, I would have to talk to them about it. I think they already control the EMS systems right now, the VAS systems. So that's where we would work in conjunction with their team to make sure that those EMS systems and VAS systems are controlled properly for every schedule at every building.
I make a suggestion at this time that, they get with Pete and discuss it. If there's enough benefit with it, then Pete can come back and speak to us about it. And then we can
And also have Mr. Boyer check into the legalities, if you break, how much we're gonna have to, if we want to put the contract on the floor, how much do we have to pay in it, you know?
Right, Mr. Boyer already has.
He does, he doesn't know.
Are we gonna bring into a 5-year contract,
I'm sorry.
agree to do this?
Uh-huh.
Is it 5 years?
It is.
And is there a way that we just get the electricity or the air conditioning going after hours?
Yeah.
I was
Absolutely.
in Clover one time, we had a lot of problems with that.
Yeah, no,
Gym and-
Yeah, no, we definitely, I mean, we work with the schedule of the schools. We want to make sure that, I mean, if there's something going on, you need air.
If there's a meeting at the last minute after hours, that.
And we want to have overrides for all of that and make sure that people have access. Even if a teacher wants to go up on the weekend, we want them to have access. Yeah, we work on that schedule constantly.
Okay,
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, D, consider annual revenue actions with the board to contracting with Family Tree for mental health consultation. Ms. Angel?
So part of the Head Start standards require us to provide some kind of mental health consultant. And, so we currently right now are receiving services for some of our childcare centers through the Tykes Mental Health Program that is run by the Family Tree, which is grant funded. This would allow us to be able to provide services to all 4 of our centers. not through that, TICE-funded grant program through Tulane, but actually through a fee that we would do consultative services with them. So that's what we're asking. It's a part-time consultant hired by the family tree, following their protocol and guidelines to be able to come in and provide regular services to the 4 centers on a regular basis. So that's what it's for.
Any questions?
And this is paid through what?
Grant Head Start, Head Start grant, it's for the Head Start programs.
Okay, I have a motion by Steve,
Second.
second by Mr. Cochi, let's vote.
We're going to discuss. They can't move.
Huh?
Mr. Knott would
Oh,
like to discuss.
okay. Go ahead, Mr. Knott.
We both know that nobody votes, or anybody votes against mental health, right?
Exactly.
You should have no difficulty getting me to vote yes, is that correct?
I hope, but I'm always prepared for the unexpected, Mr. Knott.
All right. Now, if I had, there are 2 students, let's say they're 4th grade, some of them are in Head Start, and some are in pre-K.
For 4-year-olds,
Yeah, they're both 4 years old. One will get the service and the other will not, is that correct?
if they were Head Start funded, they would receive the services that are provided by this consultant. Majority of our Head Start students are 3-year-olds and under. We have about 30 to 40 students that are called dual enrolled, and they are in the school system that are our 4-year-olds, but majority are gonna service our 4 centers. If you would like for me to look into how I can expand this to provide,
That's gonna get later on.
okay,
I've got that on the agenda.
okay.
But as of now, the answer is no. Only one will get served, the other would not, is that correct?
Head Start funded would receive services, those that are funded through other early childhood grants for 4-year-olds would not,
Okay.
under this contract,
Uh,
because of how it's funded.
Now, in reading the mission goals, how many early start kids are expelled?
0.
0.
Early, if you're talking about Head Start,
Only,
I'm
Early
talking
Start.
Head Start and Early Head Start 0. Expulsion is
I'm
not
getting that.
allowed in our program.
no, okay, now, so none have been expelled.
Correct.
What about Head Start?
Head Start 0.
0. All right.
If you're talking about pre-K, Mr. Fred, is there any that I'm aware of this year expelled pre-K? 0.
Okay, but my point that I'm making
Okay.
is, I read all that stuff, all right? And one of the reasons that you promoted this, that the little line says to reduce suspensions and expulsions. Now, that caught my attention because.
So I want to read specifically what you're referring to. It's number 6, in the implementation of the policies to limit suspension and prohibit expulsion. This is to put some measures in place so that if the child is exhibiting extreme behavior issues, we get with this consultant who will provide services not only to the teacher, the student, and the parent.
The reason it caught my attention is almost the exact same words that last board meeting came up, a grant, an expense of over $100,000 to reduce exposure and suspensions. And I'm the only one voted against it. I'm just wondering why is it that you put it in?
I didn't put it,
Oh, somebody
it's part
put
of it. It's part of the program standards that come from the Office of Head Start. All of this that's listed on there are copied straight from the guidance in 1302.45.
Okay, and again, I've got I'll say a few things in the regular board meeting, but, you do know an awful lot of work for Head Start, right?
Yes.
So your workload, is my information based on all the stuff you have sent through email, which I appreciate, keeping us informed. So you do spend a lot of time keeping us informed, right?
Yes. I try.
Does that ever create a problem for you morale-wise? Or, I mean, I'm sure you know it.
I will reap benefits of mental health when my students are mentally healthy. Mr. Knott, I have grown tremendously as a leader with all of this that's put on, and I'm learning how to balance my time between my work responsibilities and my own mental health. I appreciate you asking that.
I think just about to convince me, but I'll put it on the spot later on.
Not a problem, I'm ready.
Anybody else, any questions? We have a motion in a second, already. Let's vote.
Thank
you. One vote. E? Nothing. Okay. E, consider and or recommend action, for interim principal signature Casey.
Move to accept.
Second. Have a motion in a second, let's vote.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Mr. Knott. Mr. Knott.
You cannot, do not walk into my territory, we're having a moment.
Motion to adjourn.
Oh, yeah, that's great.